Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. It is 2 o'clock and it's time for another cuppa with Michelle. So grab your tea, your coffee, or whatever it is that you're sipping on today, and let's get brewing. Let me just double check. We are live on 3 platforms today. I just want to make sure that we can see everyone. Okay, cool. Let me move things around just a little bit. Okay, I think we are good. All right, so I'm Michelle Tamponco Jones, the Sustainable Business and Wellbeing Strategist. If you are watching this for the first time, welcome. And today we are having a very real behind the scenes conversation. So Wednesdays are usually Business Wednesdays. We talk about truths, myths, tips on businesses. Today, I wanted to share with you something that happened to me today. I wanted to talk about the feeling I had when I did something today to my business. And it kind of caught me by surprise. So I thought, it's a good one to actually just share with everyone. But before I tell you what I did, please like, follow, or subscribe to the platform that you're watching us from. We are live on 3 platforms. That way, we can keep connected and hopefully support and impact each other through our lives and our businesses. Okay. And I am having my cup of coffee today. What are you having? Let me know and show me. I want to just double check one platform. Every time I add, and please explain that to me for those of you that are using StreamYard, but whenever I put my personal profile, I can't seem to have it streaming properly. So just one quick check, and if I can't make it work, then too bad. Okay, I can see I am live. But yes, I am live and I am the only one that can see it, and I do not know how to change that. So again, I apologize. I do promise that I will be changing that anyway to make sure that you guys can see it, because I do want to be able to share this with everyone. Okay, never mind. Forget it. So anyway, again, thank you for your patience. Sometimes tech drives you crazy. Sometimes they're amazing, but sometimes they just don't work the way you want them to work. Anyway, so what happened today? Today, I officially signed the forms to change my company's name from Michelle Temponco Jones Pty Ltd. So if you've known me for the longest time, you know that my company name is my name. And it's been that way actually since 2012. So it's more than 10 years, right? Yep, that's right, more than 10 years. And it's kind of sad when it happens. Mind you, I have been thinking about this for the last couple of years, almost 2 years, not quite 2 years, but almost 2 years. I've been thinking about this, and it's something that I have prepped myself for, but it isn't until I actually signed the documents today that I thought, oh my God, it was a little bit sad. I was sad. It was almost like I was divorcing myself, or it was the death of my company. I also kind of felt like, what will people think? Will people think that I jinxed it, right? Did I jinx my company? Or did the company die? Did the company fail? So all those thoughts were coming to my head. And I don't know, I never really realized I was gonna feel that way. I didn't realize I was gonna be sad about it. You know? It's really been surreal. And my company name has been with me through 9 No, 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 no. Through five of my nine global moves, and through four countries. And it's almost like it's almost like I've had a moment of an identity ego. It like, oh my goodness, I just can't explain it. It's just so funny feeling that way. But then again, I had to stop and think, because as I was actually writing my thoughts down, as I was thinking, okay, how am I going to share this feeling that I'm having? Because I'm sure I'm not the only one that's changing my company name. I'm sure others do that as well. And in fact, there are, companies in history that have changed their names. So I had to actually stop and go, okay, hold on. I can't think that way. I had to start stepping into a CEO mindset. I am a business person. I cannot, you know, be running my emotions on every decision that I make for my company. And this is one of those decisions that I'm making for the company. So I think a lot of the times, whether we like it or not, whether we realize it or not, we are actually ruled by our emotions more than we want to, right? Don't you think that? I felt that so much today. As much as I say I'm such a strong person, and I've been a business person, oh my goodness, for a very long time before I even worked for a company at the very early parts of my life. I actually had a business, and then from the business I went into a company, and then went into a business, then into a company, then a business. I've always come back to building a business because I've always, I believe, had a business mindset. But it's funny how this experience had actually made me just, see myself a different way. Like, see that I am actually emotional about my business, that I am actually, affected by some of the decisions that I make about my business emotionally, which I shouldn't. But hey, I'm human, so that's okay. I forgive myself. I hope you do too. But I am sharing this rant, or this how do you call it? This experience, that I'm running through my head, and understanding as well. I'm sharing this because I know that I'm not going to be the last person who will actually make this type of decision. I am not the only person who sometimes lets their emotion run them in the business. Okay. One thing I learned over the last 2 years in my mentorship, again, like I share with everyone, I always have a mentor. I've had a mentor for my herbalism. Before I even got started in learning herbalism, I had a mentor in herbalism. I have a mentor in business. I had a mentor for speech and presenting, public speaking. I had a mentor for mindset. I had a mentor for health and like exercise and workouts. I had a mentor for um, my real estate business. I had a mentor for investments. I had a mentor for running a business. And in one of the mentorships that I have, we actually have accountants and lawyers that always talk to us in our meetups, like our weekly meetings and our weekly webinars and seminars. And as you listen to all those people, you get reminded of things that you should be thinking of if you want to successfully run a business. And they have been reminding us that when you run a business and you want a successful business, you need to look at not just what feels good, what feels right, what sounds good, what sounds right, but also what will protect you from risks, right? You have to look at risks. Risk management is a very real thing in business, and something that very few people actually look at. So, you know, when I learned and I realized that I had to start looking at my business, my Michelle Temponco Jones business, I have to start looking at, okay, what does that mean for me? And I can't say, oh, but that's my baby. I need to, it has to grow old with me. It is me, because my business and myself are two separate things. And that's specifically why I set up my company. But the reality is that when I made a choice to use my name, I did not look at the possibilities of, or I did not look at risk management. I just thought, well, I am Michelle. I am a practitioner. My business has to be my name, because when people look at it, and back then I was thinking we would never move. We would just be in Canberra, so we would just stay there. I would set up a clinic, and my clinic would be called Michelle Temponco Jones. But I didn't set up a clinic, and we started moving, and my business has evolved from where it was back then. And two things have happened there. One is I now needed to look at, okay, what does it mean to have a business that actually carries my name? Is that business now my alter ego? In the legal world, they look for an alter ego. If there's ever a dispute, having a business with the same name can get you in trouble. Technically, if it's a company, if it's a corporation, if it's a Pty Limited, the risks involved are very small. But the fact of the matter is, and the lawyers always reminded us of this, is that there have been so many instances in history where a person who's running a company with their name have been sued, um, and had their businesses sued as well, because the separation has not been made clear, that the how do you say it? Um uh, that there was no clear divide between personal and business in the case of those people, right? And that's always something that I was thinking of, so much my name. Yes, I in Australia I'm kind of called a different name, but it is my name. So there has to be a divide, and I have to say goodbye. I have to actually look at what is best for my company. I need to make sure that my new name helps reinforce that legal shield that actually protects myself and my family's personal assets. So it's never just about you, it's also about your family, the people that you have built this business for. You have built a business to have an income that actually helps you and your family. But if your business gets into trouble because of um, a very unclear separation, right, then you actually risk losing your personal assets. So not a really good thing. I mean, some people say, the risks are very small, but why even take the risk? Why not avoid the risk if you can, right? I'd love to hear if any of you have actually set up your businesses with your name. And, have you ever looked at the risks involved in doing so? I mean, I've had this business forever, right? Well, not quite forever, but for more than 10 years. So it's 2026 now. I had it in 2012. So what is that? That is maths, 14 years. So for the last 14 years, I've had that name. And I never really thought it was an issue until 2 years ago when I first started hearing it. And I kept getting reminded of it again and again and again. Of course, they will always say, no, we can't, we're not saying that it's going to happen to you, but it might happen. So why risk it, right? So if you're using your name in your business, do check it out. Okay. Don't just take my word for it. Check it out. Ask your lawyer, ask your solicitor. We live in a digital world. If the company ever faces a challenge or a pivot, I don't want my personal name, the name I share with my children, to be the one tied to every corporate filing or contract dispute, right? Also, if the business is me, it can't live without me. If I wanted later on to sell the business, how do I do that if my name is carried by the business, right? So by changing my business name, I am actually signaling to the universe, hey, and to the bank, hey, this entity is bigger than one person. This entity allows more than just me to actually run this entity, right? It becomes an even bigger thing. Yes, I know that I can actually do the same thing with my name, but can you imagine your children? Maybe this is also the reason my kids never wanted to work for me, because they're working for who? Their mom, Michelle Tamponga Jones, right? So changing the name just allows the business to be bigger than me, bigger than even my vision. I think that kind of opens it up as well to bigger, greater things, right? So I had to start looking at it that way. I'm not giving up on my company. I'm giving it a new life. I'm making this company with its new name reflect our goal to diversify, our goal to create multiple income streams, and our goal to build something that is truly portable no matter where we move next. So, this move, me signing that document today, is like literally my declaration that we are ready for more, that we are now building a legacy that can outlast me, my daily involvement. So it's really about being sustainable, making my business sustainable. I was looking at a few things when I was researching companies that have um, not used their own names. There are people that have changed their names to actually become bigger. Nike wasn't always Nike. What was Nike's name before? I searched that one. I forgot what it was called. But let me know if you know. Nike had a different name before. Oops. Sorry, I just saw some messages there. Let me just open the right window here. Okay. So timely. Now that I'm doing my live, I actually, the message that I got, which was, because I have some messages that have urgent on it, but it was actually my accountant saying they've already officially lodged the form. So, you know, that's it. That's what's happening. But anyway, so we were looking at the messages. Where are the messages? I saw some messages. Sorry, guys. As I said, we're live in 3 platforms, and sometimes I don't see them very easily. Okay. Can't see it here. Okay. Anyway, forget it. Yeah. So where did we end? I was saying, let me know if you guys remember what that name is. Oh, actually, I think I do. It's called Blue Ribbon Sports. Phil Knight is the owner of Nike, and the first name that they used was Blue Ribbon Sports, and they moved it to Nike, right? So the move wasn't to limit them. The move was actually to create a bigger and bigger identity for their product. The owners of Yahoo, they didn't call their company Yang and Philo or Philo, because those are the two people that originally owned Yahoo. What's it called? Yahoo, right? It's become a global giant that isn't tied to those people who actually built it. So yes, I mean, I am Michelle Jones. It is tied to me. So you kind of have that ego thing happening where, yes, this is my business. It's my name. But I'd also like to be able to actually see my business grow bigger than me, my business do more than just me, my business to accommodate more than just me. Like when Adam decides to retire, I want him to be able to build a business with me. Not necessarily do the same things that I'm doing, but maybe, another income stream or another umbrella leg, or sorry, another business under our umbrella company, right? Um, when you have, I know there are like fashion houses like Kate Spade, Liz Claiborne, right? But what happens in those cases when other companies buy those companies out, they lose their name. The company cannot continue under their name. The name will have to change. So those are the limitations of you building your company that way, right? Whilst if, for example, um, but losing the names in my head, but we have had companies that have changed ownership, right? And despite the change of ownership, because it's not named as that person, that name has continued on. So many businesses have been bought out by bigger companies where the founder has made money building that business. And because that business actually could be used with that existing name and continue growing, it actually had more value. If you sell your company, it carries your name, it doesn't have the same value, right? Okay. So that's your lesson for today. If you are looking at creating a name, make sure that you actually consider naming your business something else other than your name. Where are you making decisions based on in your life? That's a really good question to ask you guys right now. As I was saying, that one, when I made the decision to change, I was getting stressed and I I have to say, I was like, oh my God, should I just tell Chris? Chris is my accountant. Should I just tell Chris that I've changed my mind? I don't want to change my name anymore. I was really, really stressed. I was so worried that I was making the wrong move. So, that, it's like I felt like my company's been so loyal to me. I've had it for 14 years. And now I'm changing the name? Why? I'm so mean. But I can't think that way. So I was being run today by my emotions. I was so like upset. I was sad. I was unsure. I was confused. So with you guys, when you are making your decisions, do you make your decisions based on your feelings, your ego, or are you making decisions based on, you know, long-term security of your company or your long-term goals for your company? Are you always in a business mindset when you make your decisions? I'd love to know. It's really, it's a very good question, especially for women. A lot of people say women are quite emotional. Women are quite loyal. And so a good question for women is, when you make a decision, when you look at your company, do you look at your company as something that's separate from you? Or is your company you? Are you building your company as you? Is your company limited to you? Right? When you start asking yourself those questions, you start realizing, oh no, I don't want my company to be me. I don't want my company to be dependent on me. I want my company to keep growing despite of me, right? Alongside me, yes, but also outgrow me because I want my company to survive the test of time, something that I can pass on. If my children don't want it, then I can sell it, right? So that's a good question. Ask yourself that. Are you run by your emotions or your ego when you're running your company? Or do you have the CEO mindset all the time? Do you psych yourself to put yourself in the CEO mindset? I think that's a good lesson for all of us. It's a good thing to always ensure that we have that business mindset when we're making our decisions. I'd love to hear from all of you where you're joining from, whether you jump in live or on replay. Please do let us know where you're jumping in from. So if you're ready to build a business that is as resilient and you know and amazing as you are, let me know. If you are not sure how to set up your business, not sure how you can make your business be more portable, one that can actually go with you wherever you are. If you're a trading spouse like myself and you want to make sure that your business can work and can run, can thrive no matter where you go, and you don't know where to start, please do leave a comment, connect with me, because I do help trading spouses globally build sustainable businesses that actually help them not just thrive and grow, but also helps them stay focused and healthy. Because if you're not healthy, your business is not going to grow. All right, guys, I think that's it for me today. Really love being able to just, share my thoughts, share my feelings, share what's going on behind the scenes in my business. And as soon as that goes through, I'm going to celebrate with you guys the amazing time I've had with Michelle Tamponco Jones Pty Limited. And hopefully not very long from now, very far from now, we celebrate the new business name, which I will share, which I don't want to jinx. So I'm not sharing with you right away because when you file for business names, you don't necessarily know straight away if you get it. Okay. Sometimes there are some names that are, straight away, you're going to get, like my name, I got straight away. It's not your name. It can be quite tricky sometimes, but I will let you know and we will celebrate together. Thank you guys, and truly appreciate the company today. Have a great morning, afternoon, evening, depending on where you're joining us from, and have a great cuppa. I hope to see you guys tomorrow at 2 p.m., same time, same bad channel, on another episode of Cuppa with Michelle. Bye.